SWAT teams. Introduction. Trigger warning. The content in this lesson includes discussions and images relating to gun violence. This topic can be emotionally challenging and may be triggering for some individuals. Imagine you hear of a college student majoring in criminal justice. What career path do you assume they're wanting to pursue? For most people, the answer will be something like law enforcement. Of course, these are honorable options, but not everyone who is interested in criminal justice wants to be an officer. There are also people who plan to start out in one of these traditional roles and then expand to something more unique. This could mean opening a private investigator firm or applying for a position with Border Patrol, or it might involve expanding one's career by becoming a member of a SWAT team. What is a SWAT team? A SWAT team is a group of police officers that have been specially trained to handle uniquely dangerous situations. The word SWAT is an abbreviation for Special Weapons and Tactics Team. The need for SWAT. The concept of assembling a SWAT team first arose in the 1960s. During this time, there were several instances of snipers shooting civilians. Several of these occurrences took place in California. One particular event, known as the Highway 101 sniper attack, happened on April 25, 1965. On this day, a 16-year-old named Michael Andrew Clark stole his parents' car and drove down Highway 101 near Santa Maria, California. Early the next morning, armed with a military rifle and a pistol, he climbed to the top of a hill. It was from this hill that Clark shot and killed 3 people and injured almost a dozen more as they drove along the highway. One of the victims was a 5-year-old boy. Unfortunately, it took the police many hours to stop Clark, who eventually turned the gun on himself. The tragedy did, however, reveal the need for a special force of officers who were trained to deal with such situations. Just a month later, the Watts riots, also known as the Watts Rebellion, would further highlight the need for SWAT forces. History highlight: the Watts riots. The Watts riots were a series of confrontations between the Los Angeles Police Department and the residents of Watts, California. The riots began on August 11, 1965, and lasted for 6 days. The triggering incident was the arrest of 2 black men, Marquette Fry and Ronald Fry. The 2 stepbrothers were pulled over by LAPD on suspicion of drunk driving. When 21-year-old Marquette was told he was being arrested, he began to resist, and a scuffle broke out between he and officers. As tensions rose, family members tried to intervene. A crowd gathered, and more police arrived on the scene. More fights broke out, the crowd grew angrier, and the police, armed with shotguns, began to use batons on the gatherers. By 7:45, the city of Watts had exploded in a frenzy of attacks and destruction of property, and became what would resemble a war zone. Automobiles were flipped and set on fire, while many stores were damaged and looted. Regular citizens took up weapons and became snipers. Police officers didn't make matters better, referring to the citizens as monkeys and increasing acts of force. In the end, 34 people were dead, most of these black civilians. Nationwide, other riots would erupt to protest police brutality, but the effects of the Watts riots highlighted the need for officers who were specially trained to de-escalate these kinds of situations. 2 years after the Watts riots, the LAPD put together a special task force known as Station Defense Teams, or the first SWAT teams. It wasn't just one team, but 4, consisting of 15 men each. Their very first task was to provide security for police stations and headquarters in times of civil unrest. By 1975, over 500 SWAT teams existed throughout the U.S. Today, over 90% of U.S. cities that have over 50,000 residents utilize a SWAT team. What do SWAT teams do today? As an elite unit, SWAT teams deal with exceptional circumstances that require special strategies or extra firepower. They still provide assistance in instances of civil unrest. However, they perform many other duties as well. Some common situations handled by SWAT teams include the following. High-risk warrant service. In situations where serving a warrant for someone's arrest might present a serious threat to officer safety, SWAT teams are deployed to deliver the summons. PBS research shows that 80% of all SWAT activities involve serving a warrant of some kind. Raid of a residence. Drug raids are often conducted by special teams. SWAT teams conduct over 50,000 SWAT raids in the United States each year. This is almost a 1,000% increase since the 1970s, when SWAT teams were first formed. Security at high-profile events. SWAT teams are requested to provide security at many events, but most of the time, the requests are declined due to lack of resources. Some exceptions are made for events expecting over 60,000 attendees, will have dignitaries or celebrities, and events that are likely to cause media controversy, such as protests. Hostage and barricade situations. In situations where people are being held hostage, or a suspect has barricaded him or herself in a car or building, SWAT teams are often sent in on rescue or arrest missions. Other duties can include active shooter situations, terrorism threats, protection of high-profile individuals, fugitive tracking, and counter-sniper operations. SWAT team roles and duties. All SWAT members are trained in basic tactical skills such as mechanical breaching, room clearing, how to serve warrants in high-risk situations, and stealth search techniques. They also learn how to respond during barricade incidents, such as hostage events, and take part in tactical firearm training. Many members of a SWAT team also have an individualized role according to their skills and areas of expertise. Here are a few. Armorer. Maintains and repairs team weapons. Counter-sniper. Observes, locates, and neutralizes enemy snipers. Crisis negotiator. Speaks with suspects involved in dangerous standoffs to resolve the situation peacefully and without loss of life. Investigator. Gathers important information as a crisis situation unfolds. Logistics officer. Manages and maintains all team equipment. Other important team members that are a part of SWAT. Medic. Provides medical care to both fellow officers and suspects. Officer in charge. Commander who makes all major decisions for the team. Team trainer. Trains the team in tactical responses. Technology specialist. Handles tech-related tasks like operating robot cameras. Vehicle operator. Drives or flies special vehicles during SWAT operations. If you were to join a SWAT team today, which role do you think you would be best suited for? How to become a SWAT team member. To become a SWAT officer, you must meet the following requirements. Citizenship. The citizenship requirements to be a law enforcement officer with a local or state agency will depend upon the individual agency. However, many forces require officers to be U.S. citizens or at least permanent residents. Age. Candidates are traditionally at least 21 years old. Sometimes exceptions are made if the SWAT team officer is at least 18 and has an associate degree. Health. SWAT team members must be mentally and physically healthy. They must also possess the physical strength and agility that will allow them to fulfill their duties as a part of the force. Experience. Almost all SWAT team members start their careers as a member of a police force. Many have military backgrounds as well. Police departments often require that a SWAT candidate be recommended by a high-ranking officer on the force. Education. Although a college degree isn't technically required, having a degree or receiving extra training makes an officer more likely to advance toward SWAT promotion. Some states require SWAT officers to become certified and qualify to use certain weapons. SWAT team training and benefits. Training. After being accepted as a member of a SWAT team, an officer is required to complete specialized training. This training usually lasts between 15 and 30 weeks. During this training, officers learn how to use various weapons, how to defend themselves, how to handle a hostage negotiation, and even sniper tactics. All SWAT team members learn how to take control during a crisis. Benefits. Once training is complete and the candidate is an official part of the team, the officer will receive several perks. These vary from department to department but usually include health, disability, and life insurance, sick leave and vacation time, tuition reimbursement for education, uniform allowance, extra pay when working special duty assignments.